Alright, what's up everyone? It's Josh Craves Tech, and I got to see a lot of cool gaming laptops this year at CES. I made some friends and talked with some of the staff of these companies. Even though all these gaming laptops were locked down thanks to Nvidia's little demo screen here, it was still nice to be able to see the design changes and specs coming to all of them this year. So I've narrowed down the ones I'm most excited for, and I'll talk about why. I'll also give a couple honorable mentions at the end. So here we go. So starting with the Zephyrus G14. Yeah, no surprise there, but the G14 is at the top of my list. And the only reason I put it there is because I really appreciate what Asus did with it this year specifically. One of the biggest complaints from consumers with the 2024 model was the lack of any option above an RTX 4070, which just never sat right when we had an RTX 4090 G14 just 1 year prior to that. So them taking away that in favor of like a thinner design, it didn't sit right with a lot of people, and I get that. It was a bummer for me too, as someone who had a 4090 G14 as my daily driver. But in 2025, we finally see the return of higher tier GPU options for this little guy. And while we don't get a 5090 option, it's still nice to at least get up to a 5080 there, running at a pretty impressive 110 watts, which is 20 watts more than the GPU had in this chassis last year, but still 15 watts less than the 2023 model. However, I respect it. This laptop is unbelievably thin and light, like to the point where it was kind of a complaint of mine on last year's model. Like, just make it a tad thicker and give it some more juice, which is essentially what they're doing with the 5070 Ti and 5080 versions of the G14 this year. They actually made two different chassis, with those being slightly thicker than what we'll see from the 5070 and the unannounced but very likely to be 5060 and 5050 versions. And yeah, that's why this would be a top pick for me, because you're getting that fresh new Ryzen AI 9 HX370 chip, which we already know has great battery life, efficiency, and just great performance overall. And the fact that they took the time to make a slightly thicker chassis just for us folks who like more performance from our machines, like that is a big W in my book, and I wish more companies would do that. Okay, now the Blade 16 from Razer. So I was genuinely shocked when I heard about the new Blade 16 for 2025. I was fully expecting them to continue embracing the thick, heavy, battery-hungry design of the past couple years. They said, nah, we're coming back to the thin and light market. So it makes me happy to see some competition here. My biggest complaints for the 2023 and 2024 Blade 16 was just that. Like, it was too heavy, too battery hungry. I'd for real be getting frustrated with it just trying to get more than a few hours of battery life. Like, it was not fun. But this is pretty much everything I asked for. In fact, in my dream laptop of 2025 video, I think I said the perfect 2025 laptop would be one that was thin and light, but not too thin, and got itself an efficient CPU like the Ryzen AI 9, and then went with an almost but not quite full TGP like 5090 or 5080, and they did all of that. Like literally 155 watt GPU up to RTX 5090, AMD Ryzen AI 9 HX370, so like you can expect better thermals, better battery life. They reduced the weight, made it 30% thinner, gave it better speakers, and even increased the key travel distance, which has been a pretty big complaint from people. So I'm just in shock, and I'll probably have sticker shock too once I see that price tag. But I gotta respect it. Like, this could really be the 16-inch laptop to get in 2025 for like a perfect balance of performance and portability, and I really can't wait to review it. I made some connections with Razer while I was there at CES, so I'll try to get them to send me one to review, and even if not, then I'm probably gonna buy it day one regardless. Alright, so third one here is the HP Omen Max 16. And yeah, I know this one might be a little unexpected from me, but I really think this one might end up being one of the best high-powered 16-inch laptops of the year, and here's why. So first of all, we know that HP Omen is typically on the cheaper end. They also have a lot of good discounts and sales throughout the year too, so that's already a plus. In the past though, their Omen 16s have just been a bit plasticky and bulky with this kind of weird fan tuning, but when I tried out the Omen Transcend 14 last year, I knew they were onto something. So I'm glad to see them like put this sort of same exact design here in a 16-inch version for 2025. So, mostly aluminum chassis, OLED display, glass trackpad, just a sleek design overall. And they absolutely maxed it out with an RTX 5090 and Intel's new 275HX CPU, and I believe AMD CPU options as well. It just makes me happy to see HP enter the ring again and come out swinging with this, because it's just such a drastic improvement over the previous Omen 16. And I also like that they're trying some new things here as well with this new liquid metal compound on the CPU and the GPU. It's supposed to retain its viscosity better than traditional liquid metal. They added a vapor chamber and even a maintenance fan system that blows outwards to get the dust out of your laptop, which is cool. So that means you don't have to really manually dust all the time and, you know, wonder why your temps are going up. So I thought that was kind of cool, depending on how it's implemented. They even added basically like an overdrive mode in their software, which will boost the combined draw power up to 250 watts between the CPU and GPU, which that's up there with some of the 18-inch options from other manufacturers. So just lots of bells and whistles here. You know, a great cooling design, a lot of power, and in person it was relatively thin and light for like how much power output it has. So I'm really looking forward to trying it out. Oh, and also on a personal note, HP's customer service, I've dealt with them a few times over the years and it was a really pleasant experience. Like, I'm not sure if I just got lucky, but their customer service and repair service is like the best I've ever dealt with. All right, so moving on to some honorable mentions here. So my first one's got to go to the Flow Z13 from Asus. And I didn't include it originally because it's technically not a gaming laptop, but a gaming tablet with a detachable folio keyboard. But wow, is this thing gonna be crazy when it hits the market. Everyone wants to get their hands on this new AMD Strix Halo CPU, myself included. Being able to have up to 128 gigabytes of VRAM that you can reallocate to system RAM, like that is just crazy. Like that can make this not only a gaming powerhouse, but really good for productivity as well. The CPU and GPU are on one die, so think of it as a CPU with just an insanely powerful iGPU on it. We're talking around RTX 4060 to 4070 or better graphics performance from a tablet. From some of the numbers we've seen out there so far, like this review from Hardware Canucks, it looks like this chip is going to have pretty awesome peak performance while also being able to run at fairly low wattage. I think if it can also achieve good battery life and still maintain some performance at like really low wattage, then this could be a massive win for AMD and Asus. Also, just the Flow Z13's redesign is amazing. Like this new cooling system with the stainless steel vapor chamber, they added a second fan, the folio keyboard looks and feels great, and just overall it feels really solid and premium. And the next honorable mention is going to be another one from Asus, the Strix Scar. So the Scar has never really been my thing. I've never owned or reviewed one actually, and I'm only including it here because I like some of the innovation that they're going with for 2025 on this line. Mainly the redesign, like making it look much more sleek than it has in previous years with this new chassis. And I think my favorite part is the removable bottom panel. Like, I don't know why more companies don't do this. All you have to do is slide this one latch over and then you can slide the bottom cover right off. That sounded wrong, but you know what I mean. Like, just look how convenient that is for swapping out your RAM or adding a new drive. It's just cool to see little things like this work so well. That attention to detail, the full 360 light bar that goes around the whole laptop, it actually has me considering finally trying out a Strix Scar this year for the first time ever. So drop a like and a comment, you know, if you want to see that review. All right, my last honorable mention here is going to be Samsung, and not for any laptop at CES, but for almost every laptop at CES. I'm talking about this particular 16-inch OLED panel that they make. It made its debut in last year's Zephyrus G16 and Blade 16, which you can see reviews for on my channel with an in-depth display analysis. But yeah, you're about to see this panel in pretty much 16-inch gaming laptop this year, QHD, 240Hz, and G-Sync. It's just a super clean display with some of the best colors, response times, and motion clarity that you can find in a gaming laptop. And I know people worry about burn-in, but this one has an S-stripe subpixel layout, which is actually the best for burn-in resistance, and the text clarity is also pretty great on it. And even though it's not the brightest display out there, I've found that it gets plenty bright enough. Like in HDR, I've even been kind of shocked by how bright it was because of just that sheer color volume and the contrast. So that's going to make my display testing a lot easier in 2025 since almost everyone is using the same panel. But I think the major differences are going to come down to like the anti-reflection coating that they all use. My favorite so far is the Zephyrus G16 and G14's coatings on them because you barely notice reflections on those despite the glossy finish. Like, it's pretty nice. All right, so final thought. These are the laptops I'm most excited to try out in 2025. I really hope my excitement isn't destroyed when I actually get them and test them out, but we'll have to see. None of them seem to have any major glaring issues or letdowns, at least, but who knows. Make sure you're subscribed though to the channel because I'm going to try and do a lot more reviews this year. CES was a nearly life-changing event for me. Like, I made a lot of connections with these companies to the point where I might finally be getting sent some laptop samples for review. My one rule though for them is they gotta let me say what I want in my reviews. Like, I'm not going to be nice and positive just because it got sent to me to try out. I need to genuinely like a laptop in order to be positive about it. And everyone's been cool about that. So yeah, I think 2025 is going to be awesome. Most of all, I need to thank my viewers and subscribers because I would have never even made it this far without all of you. So if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, maybe it's time to change that. You know, I'd seriously appreciate it though. Oh, and drop a comment letting me know your top 3 most anticipated gaming laptops of the year. Anyways, thanks so much guys. I can't wait to test and review hopefully all of these laptops and more this year. So I'll see you in the next one.